Viewpoints on the talk station FM 107 AM 1240. It's a pleasure this afternoon to be talking with Mr. Trump, not President Trump, but a close connection. Eric Trump's with us this afternoon for a few minutes. We are pre-recording this. He's been very busy. As a matter of fact, we'll find out what he's been doing with his time. I have a feeling it's been a lot of travel. Eric, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate your time as always.
Lockwood, it's great to be on. It's great to be on. One of my favorite states in the world.
Absolutely. I think you have connections here. And by the way, I've got to say, the work you all have been doing, and I mean the family as well as the campaign in North Carolina, I think is paying dividends. As a matter of fact, I'd like to talk about that. President, as a matter of fact, Ivanka was in North Carolina yesterday. Are you in North Carolina as we speak? I think you're attending a function.
I'm in Pennsylvania. I'm in North Carolina all day tomorrow. And my wife, obviously, who's from Wrightsville Beach, Wilmington, Wrightsville Beach. She's in North Carolina literally every single day. And
right.
Hey, we as a family, Lockwood, we're a family that believes in work ethic. And when I see somebody that's running for president of the United States, and they put a lid on it at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Monday morning, and they're not seen until Thursday night. I don't understand it. First of all, it looks disrespectful. Second of all, I think Americans, appreciate people with work ethic. Third of all, people don't have the luxury of locking themselves in a basement, their entire life. People want to see people who are out there, and we're out there as a family. We're fighting every single day, and I agree. I think it's going to pay dividends. I mean, the tens and tens of thousands of people I've met on the campaign trail, and the literally tens and tens of thousands of miles. It's beautiful. I mean, it's really beautiful. And the other side, they've got no energy. They've got they're tired. They've got no energy, and they're not willing to do it. And it's smug, and quite frankly, it's a little bit disrespectful, in my opinion. Well,
not only that, I've got to say, and Eric, this is an unintended compliment, but you can look back at presidential campaigns in history's past, and I have never seen a family as committed as the Trump family has been and is on this campaign. Another aspect of this, by the way, and then we'll move on to several other items, is the passion that you all have displayed in this endeavor. And I think that transmits to the audience. Various rallies, and of course, even the liberal, the Raleigh News Observer, made comment about the fact that when former Vice President Joe Biden, with some 40 years of congressional and public experience about which we know very little and can't really see much in the way of results, but we'll set that aside. The fact that when he shows up, it's really just a very quiet event. All of the rallies for the Trump campaign have been anything but quiet, and the passion. Let's talk about that in relationship to what we should take in regards to the momentum behind this campaign. How important are these rallies?
Sure. Well, look at my father the other night, and look at my father last night in North Carolina. I mean,
right.
That's not a political campaign. That is a love in America, and look at Florida. I mean, look at Florida the other day. I mean, same thing. 20, 30,000 people, and they're all out there with American flags, Pledge of Allegiance, and they love red, white, and blue. I just showed up at a bakery. I'm in Pittsburgh today, and I head to Raleigh later on. I just showed up at a bakery. They were selling, Trump and Biden cookies. Right now, 13,500 Trump cookies have been sold, and just under 2,000 Biden cookies have been sold. I mean, there's something that's happening out there. People can't even understand. There's something that's happening out there. People see the corruption. People see the nonsense in Washington, D.C. They see how biased the media is. They love this country. They love red, white, and blue. They love law enforcement. They love having a strong economy, a strong military. They don't want socialism. They're rejecting these attacks on law enforcement. They're rejecting the attacks on religion and faith in this nation. And I think that's why you have the support that we do. And last but not least, you have a guy who gave up his entire life, a much more glamorous life, by the way, to save the country. And, and every single day he's getting punched and punched and punched, and he keeps on fighting. And, maybe George Patton said it best, famous, General George Patton. But, Americans love a fighter. Americans love a winner. Americans love somebody who will fight on their behalf and win. And that's what my father does every single day for this country.
Eric Trump is with us for a few more minutes this afternoon. We are pre-recording this conversation. Eric, I want to go back to the issue of the fighting here and the fight that your father has displayed. And it will kind of wrap it up with a conversation about tonight's debate as well. I want to talk to you from your perspective of age. And I want to talk about the youth vote, the message that young voters are hearing and need to know about this campaign. You mentioned law and order, the issue of security, also the strength of the economy up until the COVID or Wuhan virus, we call it here at the talk station, by the way. And we've got a country that continues to show strength economically in spite of a massive worldwide pandemic. So what about the youth vote? How important is that? And what can you say to our younger audience?
Well, could you imagine having Obama's economy and Biden's economy when we got hit by the China virus? I mean, you'd have nothing left in this country. The fact that, the Dow Jones was at 30,000 and taxes were cut, I mean, it gave our nation incredible resilience. And already look where it is. I mean, anybody who has a 401k, anybody who has an IRA, just click open your accounts tonight and take a look at how well they've done. Look at wage growth. Look at every other economic factor. Lowest unemployment African Americans, lowest unemployment Hispanic Americans, lowest female unemployment, fastest wage growth this country has ever seen. 10.4 million jobs coming back to this country in the last 90 days. I mean, think about those numbers. And by the way, my father will fully hold China accountable. I mean, China has hurt not just this country, the entire globe so many times and so badly, whether it be obviously the China virus, whether it be fentanyl, whether it be stealing American jobs. And guess what? My father tariffed them, and he put an end to that, and China had the worst year that they've had in 60-plus years last year. We're finally standing up to China, and you realize why China gives $1.5 billion to Hunter. They want to own that side. They want to own them. They want to use the United States. They've built all of China on the backs of the United States, and it's not happening anymore. And that's why I'm so proud of him. And in terms of the youth vote is absolutely coming around. They're seeing what's happening. They're seeing how schools are indoctrinating them almost to hate America and to hate red, white, and blue, and to take faith out of society and against the Constitution, against history, and so many other things. And the youth vote is incredibly important, and I think people are realizing, I think the youth vote's realizing that these schools have been indoctrinating them, and they're actually rebelling against it. More and more, I see that speaking on college campuses and speaking at schools. More and more, you see a group that is absolutely rejecting what's happening. They don't want to be pushed into a thought process by some liberal professor in academia. They want to be free thinkers and live their own lives, and I'm telling you that group is coming around in a major way in this country.
We've seen over the past 4 years such a significant growth in jobs and job opportunities. And I of course, think that that's a big role for young Americans as well. I want to go to something you said earlier, Eric, and again, Eric Trump with us for a few more minutes here on the program. You mentioned the fact that your father's a fighter. And one of the questions that was asked of us last evening, and we were kind of scratching our head because it was a valid question. Why does your father continue to tolerate these hit pieces, the debates? And of course, there's a great deal of concern right now about Kristen Welker and the debate this evening. Your father, and I saw the note or the comment, he said, "I'll still play the game." It's impressive. Your father doesn't quit. And for some reason, and I've got to ask this of you as well, he doesn't seem to show any negative impacts.
Yeah, listen, my father's a fighter, and thank God we have a fighter in the White House. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a country left right now. And you're right. He knows the game, and this whole country knows the game. I mean, this whole country sees through this. They saw what happened that first debate, and they saw how ridiculous it was. And then they saw the town hall where it's supposed to be a town hall where Americans got to ask questions of the President of the United States. Savannah Guthrie ended up asking 43 questions. There was 10 questions asked of the American public at Savannah Guthrie, and every single one of the questions she asked was nasty. Again, I was sitting there, I was front row, and the entire side of my aisle came over and literally apologized for the conduct. America sees through this stuff, and he understands the game. America understands the game. America knows that the media is totally in the pocket of the other side, and every time they do this, I actually think they lose votes because they realize it shows how impartial these people really are. So my father will show up. They won't be fair to him. They'll ask questions that are ridiculous. They won't press Biden on any of his son's corruption, any of these new allegations. They won't ask him about packing the Supreme Court. They won't ask him about giving Iran $150 billion, again, a country that chants death to America. And they won't ask him about how they had the slowest recovery, economic recovery in the history of this nation, Biden and Obama, and bad unemployment, and they had given up on jobs, and there was no magic wand that was going to bring jobs back to America. They won't ask him any of these things, but they'll ask my father some meaningless question that Americans actually don't care about and that doesn't influence their daily lives. And everybody understands who these people are and the games that they play. It is what it is. And yet my father will always show up and he'll always fight for what he believes in.
That's, I think, a good, strong comment. He will always show up. Just to remind you, Eric, you've probably already forgotten, he was diagnosed with the Wuhan virus or the China virus several weeks back. And within, and I'm going to say randomly, 5 days, he was back talking to the public. Within 7 days, he was back on the road. Compare that, and we'll wrap it up with this. The difference in energy, it's palpable. And we've had people talk to us, call us here on the program about the fact that the opponent, both opponents, Vice President Biden and his running mate, although I'm never sure, is it reverse? Is it really Kamala Harris administration? Anyhow, one of those administrations, either the Biden or the Harris administration, we're never sure. But both of the candidates are not out showing the energy. To me,
no.
Eric, I think that's the story that's really, it's obvious to everyone. Let you close with that observation on that one.
Yeah, they don't have the work ethic that my father has. They don't have the work ethic that our family has. I mean, in the last 48 hours, we've done 55 stops around the country, including every single swing state in the nation. As a family, I'm talking about Don, myself, Ivanka, Laura, the vice president, and obviously my father, right? So we've done 55 stops in 48 hours, and here we go to the debate, and we'll be at it every single second of every single day between now and Election Day. It's my father ingrained that in us as kids. He had us on construction sites at 11 years old. It's what we know. And then you see, the person who is running for president literally take the entire week off. I mean, as president, you don't have the luxury to take the entire week off. You think President Xi of China, you think he takes the entire week off? I mean, you think Putin takes the entire week off? I mean, they don't have the energy. They don't have the stamina. They don't have the work ethic. I think after 47 years, you're tired, and I think he's tired. And I think if there's one thing, I hope people do see the difference in terms of work ethic. My father's the hardest working guy. He's the hardest working president that there's ever been. He's up at absolute dawn, and he doesn't go to bed until very, very, very late. He never stops working. I mean, hey, the day after he got COVID, he put on a suit and he's in the conference room at Walter Reed Hospital working. I mean, it's most people would be eating applesauce and and watching Netflix, and I understand that as well. But that's just not who he is. He's the hardest working guy, and he makes me very proud every day. So I think America sees through it, and that's why you have the enthusiasm you do out there. And I really believe. I mean, people have to get out to the polls. North Carolina, Florida. It's so incredibly important. Those states they're everything. People have to get out to the polls, but I really believe we're going to win.
Outstanding. Eric, thank you very much. I know that you've got a lot ahead of you today. I appreciate your time. Congratulations on your efforts. I think they've been very indicative of the support that he has within his family, and I think it definitely is something to brag about. Thank you for your time. Have a great day.
Thank you very much.